Imagine standing on the edge of the American West in 1850. The horizon stretches endlessly before you, a land both inviting and intimidating, filled with the unknown. The air is thick with anticipation, and every step forward is a leap into uncertainty. Before you, wild beauty, harsh hardship, and the promise of a new life. The land is untamed, the sky impossibly wide, and the silence broken only by the wind and the distant call of wildlife. It's a place where dreams are forged, but also where they can be shattered in an instant. You've left everything behind for a patch of earth, but survival is uncertain. Every mile traveled is a test of endurance, and every decision could mean the difference between life and death. The journey is as much about hope as it is about hardship. The sun scorches, dust chokes, and your only hope is a distant river. The land offers little mercy, and the elements are relentless. Each day you scan the horizon for the glint of water, knowing that your fate depends on what you find. But every sip is a gamble. Water could save you or kill you. The river's surface may shimmer invitingly, but beneath it lurk dangers invisible to the naked eye. Disease, contamination, and the unknown threaten with every mouthful. Pioneers, soldiers, and prospectors face this daily. Each group, driven by different dreams, shared the same desperate need for safe water. Their stories are woven together by the constant search for survival. No taps, no pipes, no guarantees, just risk. Every water source was a question mark, and every drink a calculated risk. The infrastructure we take for granted today simply didn't exist. A clear stream might hide invisible killers. A placid creek could carry death from miles away. Waterborne diseases like cholera and dysentery were constant threats, and even the most inviting waters could be deadly. How do you survive when water itself is a threat? Every decision is fraught with uncertainty, and trust is a luxury you can't afford. The very thing you need most could be your undoing. Knowledge was the key, more valuable than gold. Those who understood the land, who learned to test and treat water, held the true riches of the frontier. Survival depended on wisdom, passed down and hard-won experience. The experienced learned to read the land, never trusting water's appearance. They watched for signs, animal tracks, plant life, the clarity of the current, piecing together clues to judge if water was safe. They became their own chemists and engineers, using whatever they had. Improvised filters, boiling water over open flames, and sharing tips on purification became essential skills for survival. One mistake could mean a swift, lonely death. The prairie is dotted with silent reminders, graves and lost possessions, of those who misjudged the peril. The fight for safe water was relentless, a daily battle. Every chore, every meal, every moment was shaped by the need to find and protect clean water. Skills and secrets were passed from veterans to newcomers. The wisdom of elders became the lifeline for the next generation, ensuring that hard lessons were not forgotten. These techniques let people conquer a continent and endure war. The ability to secure safe water was as vital as any weapon or tool, shaping the fate of families and armies alike. They're a testament to human resilience and ingenuity. Against all odds, people adapted, inventing new ways to survive and thrive in a hostile land. Every day, survival depended on transforming danger into safety. The simple act of boiling water became a ritual of hope, a small victory over the wilderness. The open prairie was their laboratory, and caution was their shield. Every experiment, every precaution, was a step toward a safer tomorrow. The journey west was a struggle against thirst and the unknown. Each day brought new challenges, and only the prepared could hope to endure. These are the forgotten secrets that kept hope alive. In faded journals and whispered stories, the knowledge of survival was preserved for those willing to listen. The story of survival begins with the perilous promise of water, a promise that shaped destinies, forged communities, and defined the American frontier. The deadliest enemies of the 19th century weren't always visible. Lurking beneath the surface, they crept into daily life, striking without warning or mercy. People lived in constant fear of threats they could not see and often could not understand. Diseases like cholera, typhoid, and dysentery lurked in every communal water barrel. Each sip from a shared bucket could be a gamble with death, especially in crowded towns and military camps where water was scarce and hygiene was poor. Outbreaks could devastate towns and armies in days. Entire communities were brought to their knees, and the sick overwhelmed makeshift hospitals. Panic spread as quickly as the illness itself. Most blamed bad air or fate, clinging to the miasma theory. But the real killer was contaminated water. The truth remained hidden as people desperately searched for answers in superstition and rumor. In the Civil War, disease killed twice as many soldiers as bullets. The battlefield was only one threat. Disease was the silent enemy, claiming lives in the shadows, far from the front lines. Dysentery and typhoid turned camps into open-air hospitals. Rows of cots filled with the weak and dying became a common sight, and medical staff struggled to keep up with the endless tide of patients. One sick person could poison a water source for hundreds. The simple act of drinking became a communal risk, and trust in shared resources began to erode. Latrines dug too close to wells, or upstream contamination spread illness fast. Poor planning and ignorance of sanitation turned water into a deadly weapon, infecting entire populations in a matter of days. The science was new, but the danger was clear. Early scientists began to suspect invisible agents in the water, and their discoveries would change the world. Water became a source of fear, every drink a risk. People hesitated before every sip, knowing that what they couldn't see might kill them. This constant threat forced people to find better ways to purify water. Boiling, filtering, and new inventions slowly began to offer hope as communities learned to fight back against the invisible enemy. The terrible toll of disease drove the adoption of life-saving techniques. Public health campaigns and new knowledge spread, changing habits and saving countless lives. Survival depended on outsmarting the invisible enemy in every drop. In the struggle for life, knowledge and vigilance became the most powerful weapons against death in the water. Boiling was the simplest, most reliable way to make water safe. All you needed was fire and a pot. No chemicals, no guesswork. Boiling killed the invisible threats, turning danger into safety. On the trail or in camp, boiling water became a sacred routine. Even in the field, soldiers improvised, heating metal and plunging it into water for a quick, violent boil. The results were clear. Those who boiled water stayed healthy. The sick tents told the story. Boiling was the first line of defense. This hard-won lesson saved countless lives. The sound of a bubbling pot was the sound of survival. Boiling killed germs, but didn't clear muddy water. Soldiers and pioneers often found themselves with water that was still cloudy and unappetizing, even after it was made safe to drink. Enter filtration. Layers of sand, gravel, and charcoal mimicked nature's process. These simple yet effective filters worked much like a riverbank, slowly straining out impurities as water trickled through. Simple filters could be built from barrels or logs, using available materials. Even in the wilderness, people improvised with whatever they had on hand. Sometimes hollowed logs, sometimes old barrels lined with layers of earth and stone. Gravel and sand trapped debris, charcoal absorbed bad tastes and odors. Each layer played a role, working together to transform murky water into something much more drinkable. The result, clear, palatable water, a morale boost for the weary. Clean water was more than a necessity, it was a comfort, a small luxury in harsh conditions. These filters became standard in camps and homesteads. They were easy to set up, maintain, and could be built almost anywhere people settled or traveled. The US Army even included them in manuals. Official instructions detailed how to construct and use these filters, ensuring soldiers had access to cleaner water. Two-barrel systems let dirty water drip through layers, emerging clean below. This method was simple, scalable, and could be used for groups or individuals alike. Filtration was a second crucial step before boiling. By removing visible dirt and organic matter first, boiling became more effective and the end result was far more pleasant to drink. It was 19th century ingenuity at its best, using the earth to purify water. People learned to trust these methods, passing them down through generations. Survival meant harnessing every available resource, turning the natural world into an ally in the fight for clean, life-sustaining water. Sometimes water was so muddy that even filters failed. The solution? Alum. A pinch of this powder made particles clump and sink. The process, called flocculation, turned brown river water clear in hours. It didn't kill germs, but made water easier to filter or boil. Alum removed much of the silt and some bacteria, making water safer. Lightweight and easy to carry, alum was a frontier essential. This simple chemistry, known since ancient times, was a lifesaver on the muddy Missouri or Mississippi. A little knowledge turned mud into drinkable water. Rainwater was the purest, most trusted source. It hadn't touched the ground, so it was free from most contaminants. Settlers and soldiers scrambled to collect every drop, using wagon covers, blankets, or roof gutters. Cisterns and barrels stored this precious supply. Even rainwater needed care. The first runoff was discarded, and barrels were kept covered. A well-stocked rain barrel meant security and less risk. Rain was a gift, safe water straight from the sky. Armies faced the worst water crises. Disease could destroy regiments. The Civil War forced leaders to take sanitation seriously. Manuals specified where to dig latrines, how to guard water sources, and which water to use for drinking. Boiling and filtering became standard orders enforced by officers. Military discipline spread these practices quickly. Veterans brought this knowledge home, teaching families and communities. War accelerated public health awareness. Safe water became a matter of survival and strategy. These water purification methods are more than history. They are a legacy of ingenuity. Boiling, filtering, clarifying, and collecting rainwater were daily rituals, not hobbies. Without modern science, people learned to survive through observation and trial. Today, we take clean water for granted, but these skills remain vital. In disaster or crisis, 19th century methods could save lives again. They're a backup plan written by our ancestors. These survival secrets honor the quiet intelligence of those who came before. Remembering their struggles gives us perspective and practical knowledge. The kettle, the sand filter, the rain barrel, not relics, but symbols of resilience. Our capacity to adapt and survive endures.